Well, it's a blessed day for all Sri Lankans here at home and abroad. More than 2 decades after his beatification, the 17th century missionary, the Blessed Joseph Vaz, was elevated to sainthood by His Holiness Pope Francis, becoming Sri Lanka's first saint. The canonization took place at a special mass at the Goldface Green in Colombo, in a spectacle the likes of which has never been seen before.
Well, Mina, now I too was able to be a part of this historic and momentous occasion, which I consider is a once-in-a-lifetime occasion. We'll have a comprehensive report coming up on His Holiness's visit to Sri Lanka in the bulletin. But first, let's take a look at tonight's headlines.
The Blessed Joseph Vaz becomes Sri Lanka's first saint. More than 500,000 of the faithful flock to Goldface Green for special mass conducted by His Holiness Pope Francis. Harin Fernando sworn in as Chief Minister of the Uva province. Allegation of 1.46 billion rupee pre-election fraud at the Divinaguma Development Department. Complaint lodged against Vimal Weerawansa on alleged corruption.
Vimal Weerawansa ඇමතුමාව හිටපු ඇමතුමාව ජාතික නිදහස් පෙරමුණේ නායක විමල් වීරවංශ මැතිතුමාව අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීමේ සැලැස්මක් තිබෙන බව අපට පේනවා.
Moving on to the stories in detail now. His Holiness Pope Francis gave Sri Lanka its first saint today at a mass for hundreds of thousands of people packed into Goldface Green in Colombo in a climax to a 300-year campaign to recognize the holiness of Indian-born missionary Saint Joseph Vaz.
The gift during the offertory procession include
Devotees were seen arriving at Goldface Green since last night in order to participate in the Holy Mass headed by His Holiness Pope Francis, which also saw the canonization of the 17th century missionary Saint Joseph Vaz.
the Catholics in Sri Lanka.
His Holiness departed from the official residence of the Vatican Embassy in the iconic Pope Mobile together with the cardinals to take part in the Holy Mass at 7:15 in Goldface Green. The Pope was welcomed by a specially choreographed dance signifying the Sri Lankan identity. His Holiness, who is known for his compassion towards the needy, blessed the differently able to win attendance during the special occasion. Prior to conducting the Mass, the Mayor of Colombo presented the traditional key of Colombo to His Holiness. One of the main purposes of His Holiness's visit to Sri Lanka is to canonize Blessed Joseph Vaz.
The Holy Mass took place with the canonization of Blessed Joseph Vaz into sainthood. Now, thousands of devotees have gathered here in Goldface Green to get a glimpse of His Holiness Pope Francis here in Sri Lanka.
It was the Bishop of Kandy Diocese, the Right Reverend Vianney Fernando, that requested His Holiness to elevate the Blessed Joseph Vaz to sainthood, considering the immense service he rendered to the Church.
Holy Mother the Church beseeches your holiness to enroll Blessed Joseph Vaz among the saints, that he may be invoked as such by all the Christian faithful.
Deo Patri Onnipotenti, preces nostras, per Iesum Christum levemus, odiate Mariae Virginis, et omnium santorum suorum intercessione, sua gratia sustiniat, et consolaniter actualis sumus.
St. Joseph Vaz was born on the 21st of April 1651 in the small town of Belluim, Goa, India, and was ordained as priest in 1676. Shortly after, St. Joseph Vaz volunteered to render his service in Sri Lanka, where the Dutch were persecuting Catholics and had banned all priests from entering the island. Despite much hardship, St. Joseph Vaz continued engaging in charity disguised as a beggar with a price on his head. He passed away on the 16th of January 1711 in Kandy and was buried at the Kandy Church. 278 years after his death, Pope John Paul II elevated the Blessed Joseph Vaz on the 13th of May 1989. On the 21st of January 1995, he was beatified by Pope John Paul II in Colombo.
Saint Joseph, we see a powerful sign of God's goodness and love for the people of Sri Lanka. But we also see in him a challenge to persevere in the path of the gospel, to grow in the holiness ourselves, and to testify to the gospel message of reconciliation to which he dedicated his life. Saint Joseph Vaz continues to be an example and a teacher for many reasons. He is also an example of patient suffering in the cause of the gospel, an example of obedience to our superiors, an example of loving care for the Church of God. Like ourselves, St. Joseph Vaz lived in a period of rapid and profound transformation. St. Joseph showed us the importance of transcending religious divisions in the service of peace. His undivided love for God opened him to love for his neighbor. His example continues to inspire the Church in Sri Lanka today. Religious freedom is a fundamental human right. Each individual must be free, alone or in association with others, to seek the truth and to openly express his or her religious conviction, free from intimidation and external compulsion. As the life of Saint Joseph Vaz teaches us, genuine worship of God bears fruit not in discrimination, hatred and violence, but in respect for the sacredness of life, respect for the dignity and freedom of others, and loving commitment to the welfare of all. I pray that, following the example of Saint Joseph Vaz, the Christians of this country might be confirmed in the faith and make an ever greater contribution.
What is more, over and above the gift of your presence on this soil, you have given us the gift of a saint, Saint Joseph Vaz. That gift makes us truly happy. In the recent past, we have shed many tears on account of the internal conflict that caused so many victims and drained away our resources. we are still struggling to rise up from that sad past and to usher in a time of true reconciliation, peace and progress for our people. We call upon you to kindly help us in that search for a true healing of hearts, the strength to ask pardon from each other for the senseless violence unleashed then, to forgive and forget that sad past, and to arrive at a process of a give and take that will build bridges of understanding between the parties hurt in the conflict. We call upon our beloved Saint Joseph Vaz to intercede for us in heaven, so that Sri Lanka may be able to achieve the miracle of peace soon, and may be able to reach out to the goal of true progress and happiness for all its people, irrespective of all our differences.
The occasion will forever remain etched in the memories of devotees, both local and foreign, who flocked to the Golface Green.
No, I'm from Goa. First time I'll see Pope, and I'm very happy.
I'm very, very happy. I'm saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you.
I'm from the Seychelles, and I find this is a very historical event, a good experience for all Catholics in the world.
His Holiness also participated at a special service at the Mother Church in Mannar this evening.
After being received by the Right Reverend Rayappa Joseph, the Bishop of Mannar, His Holiness blessed the public who were beside the road.
The ordinary of Eastern Rite faithful in Argentina who have no ordinary of their own right. 3rd of June 1997.
This is really a common sight wherever the Holy Father goes. He has so much of love for children, and the way he takes them on to him, caresses them, kisses them, and show their affection. The proud mothers really offer their children to the Holy Father for blessings.
Thereafter, His Holiness proceeded to the church.
You are visiting our country, Sri Lanka, as a messenger of peace, based on truth, justice and reconciliation. Mannar had been blessed by God as the place of the first martyrdom in Asia. The blood of the martyrs of Mannar had become the seed of the faith in the entire north and eventually in the whole country. Your Holiness's presence here is an exceptional blessing to the shrine and to all its devotees.
The service commenced with the participation of His Holiness.
Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Peace be with you.
Freedom.
We want to ask Mother Mary to accompany with her prayers the efforts of Sri Lankans from both Tamil and Sinhalese community to rebuild the unity which was lost. Her statue came back to her shrine of Madhu after the war. We pray that all her Sri Lankan sons and daughters might now come home to God in a renewal spirit of reconciliation and fellowship.
Incidentally, a miniature of Our Lady of Madhu was presented to His Holiness Pope Francis to mark his visit to Sri Lanka.
Moving on to your developing story tonight. United National Party's Harin Fernando, who served as the opposition leader of the UA Provincial Council, was sworn in as its new chief minister today in the presence of Governor of the UA province, C. Nanda Matthew.
Harin Fernando was sworn in as the Chief Minister of UA Province at the auspicious time set for this evening. Governor of the province, C. Nanda Matthews, said that the opposition headed by Harin Fernando and 18 other councillors have gained the majority in the council. The majority comprises of 12 opposition councillors and 6 ruling party councillors. Yesterday, Governor C. Nanda Matthews said that he had been informed by Harin Fernando in writing that Fernando has obtained a majority support in the council. The governor added that he had spoken to all the members whose names were mentioned in the letter personally over the phone and decided to appoint Harin Fernando as the Chief Minister of the UA province.
දැන් හරිද කියලා අහපු කට්ටියට අන්තිමට කියන්න ඕනේ දැන් හරියටම හරි අපිට දැන් බොහොම හරියටම හරි අපිට
Now everything is correct. I wish to sincerely thank all the honest members who crossed over from the ruling party to our party to support us in this endeavour. We hope to implement the 100-day program within the provincial council as well. While thanking my predecessors and his service, we hope to incorporate him into our programs and to do good for the province. We promise our commitment to this.
සම්බන්ධ කරගෙන මේ පළාතට වෙන හොඳ සියලු දේටම අපි එකතු වෙලා කටයුතු කරන්න අනිවාර්යෙන් අප කැප වෙනවා කියලා පොරොන්දු වෙනවා.
Harin Fernando and several councillors who did not attend the council sitting yesterday met with Governor of the province C. Nanda Matthew and presented the affidavits of 5 alliance councillors. With the presentation of another affidavit from an alliance councillor today, the number of alliance councillors pledging support to Harin Fernando increased to 6.
You're with News First. Moving on to more local news, the Samudra Development Officers Union claims that a sum of 1.46 billion rupees was removed from the account of the Devinagama Development Department 2 days before the concluded presidential election.
සමෘද්ධි බැංකුවෙන් මිලියන 2000ක් සහනාධාර විදිහට රුපියල් 2500ක් බැගින් බෙදුවා.
2 billion rupees from the Samurdhi Bank was distributed as relief at 2,500 rupees per beneficiary. We were able to stop it before the sum increased to 10 billion rupees. The Divinagama rulers, who did not give a toss about this, the former minister, has now left the island. It was not a small amount that they destroyed through this program. The trade unions loyal to them got together and took over 1.46 billion rupees from the Divinagama Development Department account on the 6th of January, 2 days before the election. The Divinagama Development Department printed 5 million bank checks. This is how they destroyed the funds.
Meanwhile, a stock of holy ropes was discovered at a house in Polonnaruwa today and was seized by the police. The police, acting on a tip-off, had seized the stock of holy ropes from a house on Esipathanam Place in Polonnaruwa. The police say that 1,700 holy ropes were discovered at the house. The residents of the house claim that a secretary of a local politician had rented the house from them 4 months ago.
We leased the house 4 months ago. They used to come and go and they would do their political activity inside. We did not know that they were storing goods here.
Meanwhile, the police conducted an inspection at the office of the State Trading Corporation in Mathura. The police had discovered a stock of plastic chairs that had been stored at the office. The manager at the office had stated that the chairs had been purchased using the decentralized funds of public representatives in the area and were to be distributed among the people.
A complaint was filed with the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption today against former Minister Wimal Weerawansa.
A group including attorney-at-law Namal Rajapaksa, contested from the Our National Front at the concluded presidential election, filed this complaint.
We filed a case against former Minister Wimal Weerawansa. Until the 8th of April 2008, he was a member of the JVP. He did not receive a wage and the money was deposited into a common fund. However, during the 6 years he served as a minister, he had amassed an immeasurable amount of wealth. There are 2 massive houses under construction in Kaduvela. We believe that once construction is over, the cost will be around 200 million rupees. Back then, he and his wife operated a communications center in Mavra Mandir and were going through difficult times. However, today she is a shareholder of a number of government factories and also operates a mega movie production house. house. His passports have been renewed. Therefore, he may leave the country in the near future. We urge the Director General of the Commission to use his power to prevent him from travelling abroad. The National Freedom Front says that it will render its fullest support to the government-sponsored 100-day program. Spokesperson for the NFF, Mohammed Musamil, revealed the party's stance at a media briefing convened today. As the National Freedom Front, we place our trust in the 100-day program. We will not pose any impediments while on their way to fulfilling these recommendations. We will render our utmost support. We will not only render our support, we'll also monitor whether or not the task is carried out as promised to the people. We know that many factions are vying to forcefully remove the Chief Justice. We are also aware that various attempts have been made to arrest the leader of the National Freedom Front and former Minister Bimal Veerwansa by levelling unreasonable charges at him. We wish to impress upon you the fact that this cannot be good governance.
The police have arrested suspects in connection with 2 incidents of election violence which occurred in Colombo during the election campaign. The police media spokesperson says that the suspects were from an institution known as the Land Reclamation Development Centre.
A shooting had taken place on the 24th of December 2014 at the Umagilya Stadium in Vallampitiya. This group had been operating under former Provincial Councillor Dayakanta Pereira, aka Bindu, who is a resident of Dematogoda. There was another incident where a group of people were putting up posters in Blumendal while a group of police officers were on duty there. They were asked by the police to stop, but they left and returned in 6 vehicles. They had shot at the police officers and had attempted murder. We have information that this person known as Bindu was in one of the 6 vehicles and that there were others there too. It has been revealed that they had come from the institution known as the Land Reclamation Development Centre. It has also been revealed that the managing director of this institution had aided and abetted this group. The managing director was arrested in connection with providing the vehicles and firearms. He is a retired Rear Admiral from the Sri Lanka Navy. A pistol, 2 magazines and 47 9mm rounds were discovered in his possession. 3 more persons were arrested today. They too are from this Land Reclamation and Development Centre. The individual known as Bindu, who was wanted in connection with these incidents, has turned himself over to court the day before yesterday. After turning himself over at Halstorf, he was remanded until the 19th. He had turned himself over in connection with the incident that occurred at the Umagilya Sports Ground in Vallampitiya. SSP Ajit Rohana also commented on the arrest of a notorious drug trafficker Velesuda in a foreign country. This person was arrested while attempting to travel to a different country under the name Vijay Singh Arachilage Sunil Sanjeeva. He has been brought to Sri Lanka following his arrest. He is currently being detained at the Criminal Investigations Department and interrogation has begun. The suspect Velesuda is the first of the 2 major suspects who are handling the drug trade in Sri Lanka from abroad. While acting under the Money Laundering Act, we discovered that he owns 2 houses on Bagatale Road. He has a house on Horton Place. He has close to 200 million rupees in cash and jewellery in bank safety deposit boxes. We have asked the High Court for an order to seize all these assets under the Money Laundering Act. At the same time, we will record this person's statement, we will verify it, we will look into the points contained in it and we hope to reveal the information of other people involved in the network within the next 2 weeks.
Minister of External Affairs Mangala Samaraweera today filed a complaint with the Criminal Investigations Department.
A group of attorneys accompanied the minister.
The flames of democracy were nearly extinguished on the 9th of January. In fact, we have reliable information. We received the information that very evening while the counting was going on that a group were discussing ways and means of thwarting the democratic process. They had discussed on imposing a state of emergency while the count was going on. They had also discussed the possibility of the army taking over the elections commission in Colombo and arresting the elections commissioner, and even obstructing the counting in the counting centers in different parts of the country by using the armed forces. But luckily, because of the intervention of the Attorney General, the IGP and the Army Commander, these gentlemen were not able to carry out this diabolical conspiracy. From what we hear, the Attorney General categorically refused to play any part in this attempt to destabilize the democratic process. බරපතල වරදක් එතුමා හිටියානම් නෙමෙයි අපි විශ්වාසදායක ආරංචි වලින් දන්නව හිටියයි කියලා මම හිතනවා එතන තිබුණ CCTV කැමරා වලින් ඒ බව සනාථ වෙනවා.
Now, politicians make various promises prior to the election, but how many of these promises are fulfilled?
Let's make a bet. If I lose, I will give my ancestral home in Palmadulla. This home was given by my father. Now my father and sister live in that house. Just like everyone has faith that the sun will rise tomorrow, Mahinda Rajapaksa's victory cannot be stopped.
Minister of Fisheries for the Northwestern Province, Sanath Nishanta, placed a bet on his car.
New Minister of Housing and Samurdhi Sajith Premadasa called on former UMP Minister and General Secretary Sirisena Kure today. Minister Sajith Premadasa called on the former Minister Sirisena Kure at his residence in Thalangama this evening and engaged in a cordial discussion. Today I met with former Minister Sirisena Kure, who provided leadership to implement the development programs of the late Ranasinghe Premadasa and obtained his blessings. I came here with the intention that I must undertake my journey as a humble labourer. Sajith Premadasa also commented on his future plans. We hope to implement the largest housing project in the history of Sri Lanka and begin an era where the expectations and the aspirations of the public will be held high. Well, now, last night we presented before you several memes that we obtained from social media networks. While the political pundits delve deep into the material at hand to arrive at conclusions and make predictions, on the internet, the current affairs and the developments of the day are sometimes put to more creative and, dare we say, fun users. Here's a look at a few most selected posts that our digital team discovered while combing the social media.
They say a friend in need is a friend indeed. Unfortunately, this saying does not seem to apply to siblings. All it takes is a single misstep for the netizen to turn you into a hilarious meme. The silver screen is always a better option than the political stage. Politicians should be careful when using props. They tend to simply provide more ammunition for the creative netizen. Even operating system dialog boxes are not spared.
Windows cannot find the file. Please check this file with Mahinda Rajapaksa.
A number of farmlands were destroyed by the floods that recently plagued the Polonnaruwa district.
Tears fill the face of the farmers who plough the lands of Polonnaruwa as they saw their crops destroyed by the floods. Our cameras were able to capture some defining moments of this disaster, as the only grains left behind were the fine grains of sand in the form of silt left behind by the resetting floods. The floods that were reported in the recent past destroyed farmlands in Pinamankada, Kavadulla, Sansungama, Kirimatiya, Yelakamoliava, Gal Amuna, Ranmanyaya and Diyasenapura. Ancient bricks and stones had emerged in some farmlands.
In business news tonight, the World Bank has slashed its global economic growth forecast in the face of steadily declining oil prices. The World Bank has cut the June forecast of 3.4% for the year 2015 to 3%, given the pressures of falling oil prices on the global economy.
As of today, crude oil was selling at between $45 and $46 per barrel. Oil prices have fallen by 60% from $115 per barrel last June and have now reached a 6-year low. The global decline in oil prices has been fueled by falling demand in the US due to the shale boom and the decrease in demand in Europe and Asia. This has had a negative impact on oil exporters, particularly on the sanction-ridden Russia. The World Bank forecasts the Russian economy to contract by 2.9% this year and to only grow by 0.1% in 2016.
And finally, it's a look at sports news, and it's some cricket. Paceman Suranga Lakmal's participation in the second one-day international against New Zealand tomorrow is doubtful, according to team manager Michael de Souza.
The second ODI of the ongoing series between Sri Lanka and New Zealand will commence at 6:30 tomorrow morning Sri Lanka time as a day and night encounter.
We're in Hamilton, and the match tomorrow is played at the Federal Park ground. It's a day-night match, so play starts at 2 p.m. New Zealand time. There's 7.5-hour time difference. We are ahead of Colombo. Other than Suranga Lakmal, who is still suffering from a muscle strain, the rest of the party is fit, and final selection will be made in the morning once we get to the ground. The weather is good, the sun is shining, and confident of a good result.
Raising hopes of Sri Lanka, the participation of New Zealand's Tim Southey and Kane Williamson, both powerhouse bowlers, is reported to be doubtful for tomorrow's encounter, with the Kiwis yet to announce their final squad. The Kiwis lead the 7-match series 1-0.
Tomorrow, His Holiness Pope Francis will leave Sri Lanka, but the memory of his visit will be forever etched in the hearts and minds of the faithful.
We leave you tonight with a series of images that capture some of these unforgettable memories. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Joel Artskun. Take care and good night.